Breaking It Down with Frank MacKay. This is 103.9 LI News Radio.
Welcome back to Breaking It Down. Our very special guest for this segment is CJ Ramone, or Chris Ward. People know him. CJ, how are you?
Good, Frank. Thanks.
And we're not here to promote an album. We'll do that some other time. Right?
Okay.
We're talking about some good charitable work here, and something you do a lot of. I know you've done a lot with the Boy Scouts. You've done a lot with the Girl Scouts. You've done a lot with all kinds of organizations.
Autism Speaks.
Autism Speaks. And tell us about this.
I got contacted through a friend a couple months back about doing a benefit for children of military families. It's actually for a camp called Operation Purple Camp. It's a free camp for children of military families with parents who are going through what military families go through. That could be anything from PTSD to wounding to death in the family, but it's staffed by mental health professionals, and it really affords them an opportunity, gives them tools to deal with the situations, a changing situation in their homes. It's a unique program.
And you're going to be playing? Your band's going to be playing?
No, yeah, on April 3rd, yeah, at Mulcahy's. It's going to be, I'll be doing a set of all Ramones music. I promised the the folks throwing it that I would do all Ramones stuff. That's everyone's favorite. And we've
That's
also...
no slight against your original.
No, right, yeah.
Yeah. They want to hear the Ramones.
Right, exactly. But Dave Attell, the comedian,
great comedian,
yeah, real funny guy. I've known him for a long time. I went to see him actually right out here, right across the street, at the Comedy Club from here at
right?
MacArthur Airport. Yep. And I talked to him that night about it, and he was he was all for it. So he's going to come down and do a set that night also.
Is he a local guy? Is he a Long Island guy?
Queens.
Queens, okay. Well,
Queens.
It's on Long Island.
Yes,
anyway.
absolutely. I'm from Queens originally too. You don't got to cross a bridge to get there. It's Long Island.
It's Long Island, right? Brooklyn too. It goes for that.
Yep.
All right, listen. Let's talk a little bit about your new album too, because people want to know this.
Okay.
You just got off tour?
Actually, I've been off tour for a little while. We had last year was my busiest year, 2013. I did more shows than I've done since the Ramones retired. So it was kind of like my official I'm out of retirement tour.
Was that by design? You wanted to do that?
No, it's just the offers have been coming in hand over fist. We haven't been able to get any breathing room, but I try to make sure I'm home every year, Christmas time and all that. And then every March, I get into the studio and I do a new record.
Now you have 3 kids. A lot of
three kids.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
You have 3 great kids, adorable kids.
Yep.
And well, one's not so adorable anymore. He's giant, right?
Yeah.
Big tall guy, your son.
Yep.
But the girls are adorable. We'll say that.
Yep.
But listen, you having definitely a resurgence. Ramones have never gone away. You know, you walk to any high school, you see kids walking to high school, you see Ramones shirts on.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the Ramones that?
You know, it's funny. The Ramones music just seems to appeal to the teenager that's in everybody, kind of, and it's just you know a song is classic or music is classic when you've listened to it 1,000 times and it still makes the hair on your arm stand up when you hear it. You know what I mean? That's really what makes a classic. And those Ramones songs, they just have that sound capture. It's a snapshot of a time period. So there's a lot behind it.
CJ Ramone is our very special guest, the bass player of the Ramones. He replaced a legend in Dee Dee Ramone, and you've always said that. You haven't been cute about it. You didn't try to compete with Dee Dee. You said, hey, he was my idol.
Yeah.
I replaced him. And that's a smart way to go, and I think that's one of the reasons why you were accepted so freely. Not at first,
right.
I mean, but certainly after a while, and that's why you're still doing well now.
It's the easiest on your ego too, because trying to copy the master never works out too good. But that's I just treated it like I got hired to do a job, and I got up there and I did the best that I could. There was always the comparisons, of course, but anything that I did that reminded people of Dee Dee was strictly because he was an influence, not because I was trying to copy him or make people forget about him. In fact, I've done my best to make sure that nobody forgets about him.
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. You bring them up every chance you get. I just beat you to the punch on this. Now, certainly people who are listening to this know about the Ramones, and they know CJ is CJ Ramone, but he started out as Chris Ward, as a local guy here in Deer Park. And let's talk a little bit about the process, like how you heard about the Ramones. I remember the first thing I remember you doing. That was a record, and I knew you. Prior to all this, it was Guitar Pete's Axe Attack.
Correct.
I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it was actually, he put together a good band. He had some kind of deal overseas, right, with like Heavy Metal Records or something.
Yeah, Heavy Metal America Records. We had I think we had 2 records out on the label, but Pete actually was the guy most responsible for really making me getting into the Ramones possible. Before I met Pete, I guess I was probably just raw talent, and Pete kind of taught me how to handle myself and focus and really just play like a professional. So I really owe him a lot.
Well, you're saying Pete like it's Cher or Madonna, like it's a one-word name. Everybody knows Pete. Like Guitar Pete was
Pete Brasino
was a local guy.
Right.
Where was he from?
Pete is from. He's not from. Is it Massapequa? He's somewhere in Nassau.
Yeah, what's a good guess? A lot of people are from Massapequa. Yeah. A lot of people who do well. But let's we give credit where credit is due. A guy named Guitar Pete.
Pete Brasino. Yeah.
Brasino.
Yep.
And I remember when he got a deal. It was a German label, right?
Yeah. German or English, one or the other.
Right, but a European label.
Yeah.
And I remember it made a splash because a lot of people didn't have deals at that point.
And realistically, as with the Ramones, I was lucky. Pete had already been playing for years in the clubs. He was really, really well known on the island. Back then in the 80s, you could play 3-4 nights a week. You could make a living playing in clubs. And Pete had been working the clubs for a real long time. He was, definitely a local legend. So when him and his guys from his band approached me about playing in their band, I was really floored because I was really a kid at that time. I was probably 17 or 18, and they asked me to come into the band, and like I said, they little polish, and I did real well with them.
Also, there's 2 records. I mean, let's face it. Whether I don't care if 10 people heard the damn records, right? I mean, whatever they sold, it's 2 records. You're going in and you're recording 2 records, and you're playing the gigs, and you're getting a little experience, and it gives you a resume before you go to the Ramones.
Absolutely. And it, realistically, at that point, it wasn't just anybody could do a record. Back then, it was to get a record deal was was saying something.
No home computers, no Pro Tools.
Right, exactly.
You went in and you recorded it on a 24-track studio. And it cost some bucks.
Or 16-track. Yeah, right. That was it was a much different game back then. But that was a real big thing for me, and realistically, that kind of sunk the hooks in me for the rest of my life, that I had to do music. That was a important role for me. But I also at the time was working at Republic Fairchild. We built the A10 and a bunch of Boeing stuff and whatnot, and that was kind of what made the whole thing possible, because I had a nice solid real job, and I was able to play music. But of course, we know what happened with Republic Fairchild. They closed down, moved out of state, and that was that.
A lot of jobs went too.
Yeah.
That really hurt Long Island.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the Ramones. All right. So, at what age were you when the Ramones came a calling, or you went for an audition?
I think it was 23. 23 when I went to the audition. Maybe 22, 23.
You were fresh out of the Marines.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, you're right.
That was That's always been that's a very long, interesting story. That'll be in the book. But yeah, I literally 5 weeks out of the Marine Corps did my first show with the Ramones in Leicester, England, and it was strictly a fluke how I got in the band. A friend of mine called me up, and Frank MacKay, who I went to Deer Park High School with, called me up, and he said, "Hey, the Ramones are auditioning bass players in Manhattan," and I was like, wow, that's great, I figured, let me go down and I'll meet them anyway, not thinking I really would have a shot. I wasn't really even taking it seriously. I went to the audition and walked out thinking that they'd, that I met the Ramones. I got home, called up everybody I knew. Hey, I met the Ramones today, and kind of put it on in my head. And a day or two later, I got a phone call. And it was Monty Melnick, the Ramones manager, tour manager, and he said, "The guys want you to come back." So I went through the process for about, I don't know, maybe a month and a half of going back and forth to auditions, and in the end, I got it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Frank. Now, what was Frank MacKay's hook to the Ramones? His brother, right? Right.
Frank was actually playing in a band called Stop with Joey's brother, Mickey Lee, and I guess that was Frank, the first bass player. He thought it was me. Yeah. Thank God, and
thank Frank.
Yeah, thank Frank.
That's a great thing. By the way, if you're just tuning in, CJ Ramone, or Chris Ward, is our very special guest, the bass player of the Ramones, and the one of the Remains. You guys still play as the Remains?
No. That's the Remains actually was Dee Dee's thing. I played with the Remains for a short while because Dee Dee asked me in. That was a little side thing Dee Dee had put together. It was me, Dee Dee, Mark, Ramone, and Dee Dee's wife, Barbara.
You guys ever decide, did you ever decide to, or did you ever think about doing it again, or just out of respect for Dee Dee, you just...
I don't really have all that much contact with Mark. Mark does a lot of stuff. Mark's got a whole bunch of businesses. He's always on tour. He's a really active guy.
He's making some bucks on it, yeah.
Yeah. He's doing good for himself.
God bless him.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yep. More power to him. But I kind of went the other route. After the Ramones retired, I started a family and kind of put music to the side for a good long time. And then in 2008, I just felt like maybe it's time to get back out there. And I was lucky enough that my lovely wife Denise was agreeable to it, and I got back out on the road.
She's a great lady, wonderful lawyer too.
Yeah,
Denise Ward, and wonderful mother. You guys have a really nice thing going, and it's kind of a hipper version of Brady Bunch. I know what it is. Half a Brady Bunch. It's great. It's you guys are doing real well with it, and I'm glad that you're out there playing. You're still getting all kinds of calls. You in Japan recently?
Yeah, actually, last July I think it was. We went out. We were invited to do Fuji Rock, which is the big festival in Japan. It was a really great opportunity for me. I took my two older ones with me. They came with me to Japan the first time there.
How did they like it?
They loved it. They loved it. My daughter Liliana is very into Japanimation and stuff, and my son Liam's really into Japanese culture, the martial arts, and all that. So they both dug it. They liked it a lot, and we actually went early, so we spent a week there and got to see some things. Went shopping and all that good stuff. So it was fun. Good trip.
South America has just been a phenomenon when it comes to Ramones fans and everything. I mean, is it still like that?
The best way for me to explain it, I have my Facebook page. I think I have upwards of 125,000 likes right now on my page. Better than 2/3 of them are from South America, Argentina, and Brazil specifically. It's
incredible,
bizarre. It's unbelievably bizarre. You know, the difference between our last show there and our last show here. Our last show we played in California, in Los Angeles. I think we had 5,000 maybe people. Our last show in Argentina, 65,000 people at River Plate Stadium.
That's amazing. That's a soccer stadium, right?
Yeah.
What's the largest show or the largest crowd you've ever played in front of?
I think the biggest crowd, that might have been it, but I think we played in front of bigger crowds. We did 2 shows with U2 in Spain. We played soccer stadiums, and I believe those were bigger. I believe there was actually more people at those than our final one.
What was Bono like? What was your experience? I heard that he was a Ramones fan somewhere along the line.
It's kind of funny. They came over to the dressing room just before we were going to go on, and they, of course, security comes, clears everybody out, and they come in, and they're all real humble guys. And Bono told a story of how when they had first started out, they were auditioning for a TV show. And they played 3 Ramone songs and told the producers of the show that they were their songs, and that's how they got onto. That's how they got onto their first television show. But
jeez,
I mean, Bono's beyond a big star, and you hear a lot of stuff about him. But I can tell you personally that when Joey Ramone was diagnosed and kind of pretty far along in his illness, Bono approached Joey's family and said, if it's a matter of money, I'll take care of it. But at that point,
that's terrific.
It was beyond money or anything. But that's the kind of guy he is. And in fact, the Ramones Lifetime Achievement Award that we got on MTV, we got that because U2 it was asked to be on, and they said the only way we'll be on is if you present the Ramones with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And Bono came and gave us that award. I think it was a day or 2 days after his father died. So he still insisted on making that ceremony and presenting that award to us with his dad just passing. So
well, it's quality. That's a quality guy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know Bono, but you hear different things, and I guess people because he's so politically outspoken that people take shots at him. But I mean, when I talk to people who know him personally, they say, "Man, he's a great guy." I mean, he's just a terrific person.
I got to tell you, it's very easy to get through your career by ignoring things and just not be I very rarely speak politically in music interviews and stuff like that. I don't
better off not.
I don't want to invite the rock throwing, so I don't do it. But for him and for what he does and for what the band does, it stands behind him. That's a tough thing. Whether or not you agree with him, you have to admit it's a tough thing. You may not like his politics, you may not like his point of view, but to stand on the world stage with as many people looking at you as they have and say what you feel is not something that's easy to do.
Well, it's also his right. Well, he's not an American, right? But as Americans, we feel it's his right, is God-given right, to express his political opinion.
Well, realistically, as Americans, we feel that all human beings have that right.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why people come here, because we feel like everybody should be able to do that. So that's,
if you have the power of Bono, you have the power of Bruce Springsteen, whether you agree with them or not. Let them state whatever the hell they want. They've made their money. They've made their mark. They have their opinions, and when they say something, they could bend it. But at the same time, a guy like Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity, who's on this station right after the show, they get criticized a lot for doing exactly the same thing.
Right.
Even though they weren't celebrities first, they gave opinions, and that's what made them celebrities. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone should have their right to their opinions from the right, left, center, whatever it is.
And that's a lot of times when you hear about intolerance, it just seems that the whole ideal, that point of view is not. It's talked about a lot, but it's not given to everybody. It seems like intolerance is only given to certain groups, and I just don't understand it. Always when I was growing up, there was always a certain amount of respect, right? People, when they addressed the president or talked about the president, they would say the president. It's degraded so much now that they call him by their last name. You know what I mean? Right. There's a lot of respect that's been lost. And I think that's that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, as parents, we could certainly bring our kids up to do the opposite. So we all have the opportunity to do that. We have about 2 minutes left with CJ Ramone, and I want to remind everybody that April 3rd, which is Thursday, April 3rd, which is next week, between 7 and 11, there'll be, and this is a charitable event for military kids. And give the name again.
It's Operation Purple Camp.
And CJ will be playing with a full band, or?
Yep, full band. Full
band, and Dave Attell, who is absolutely great funny comedian.
Guy.
He's dark and he's blue. I don't know how he's gonna do with the military kids. They're gonna have to get them out of there. They're gonna have to usher them.
It's an all ages event, so we made sure that we asked them to keep that in mind.
Yeah, does he have a clean act? I mean, does he have
I don't know.
A clean act and a dirty act?
I'm hoping.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And where's the event?
It's going to be held at Mulcahy's.
Mulcahy's, right. Okay.
In Wantaw.
Great. Well, everyone knows Mulcahy's in Wantaw on Railroad Avenue, but that's this is certainly a great cause, the military kids, and we have to have you on to talk, do a whole show on your new album. The last album was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I still listen to it. It's wonderful. You recorded that out in L.A.
Yep, Santa Ana, California.
And it was a who's who of punkers, guest starring on that. You had the guy from Blondie, a keyboard player even from Blondie.
Yep. Matt Katz.
Matt Katz, good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
And the guys from the Adolescents. And
right. We had members of the Adolescents. We had so many people from so many bands on it. It was like an all-star lineup.
We got about a minute left. Can you give us a quick what's next for you? And again, we'll remind everybody, Thursday, April 3rd at Mulcahy's, CJ will be playing along with Dave Attell and DJ Jimmy Strange. Him I don't know, but it wasn't say. I'm sure he's wonderful, and he's doing a charitable event for a bunch of good military kids. 30 seconds left. Give a website where people could follow you, CJ.
Oh, best thing to do is go to my Facebook page, but www.cjramone.com also carries all the info. Tour dates and stuff for this year. I just finished up a new record, so that'll be out in August, and then it'll be a East Coast tour, then a West Coast tour in the States. In May, I'll be up in the Northeast in Canada. November, December, I'll be in Japan and Australia.
So if anybody wants to get on the plane and follow them to all these different places, you'll be there.
September, October, I'll be in Europe, so it's a busy year.
CJ Ramone, everyone, or Chris Ward, known locally, a local boy done well. CJ Ramone, thanks for tuning in. CJ, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Frank.